Hello and welcome to Uncovered, the podcast with your host, Jason Irving. Join me in a journey to understand what's truly happening in your world and the world around you. This is not about how you're living life on the surface. It's about what's truly driving you from under the covers. I'm going to take you on a journey to deeply uncover the reason why you are here, the ultimate purpose in your problems and the way that they have shaped your life up until now. See, I believe you have a purpose, and your problems are the highway towards ultimate realization of that journey towards freedom and the reconnection of your true self. I've been told I have a different spin on most things, and I'll be giving you my understanding of life, love, and what we're all here for, purpose. To get the best out of this podcast, drop what you already know so you can discover what's beyond you. So join me, let's play this game of life and bring on liberation, transformation, and change. Let's do this.
Hi Jason, how are you today?
Yeah, good, Filia. How you doing?
I'm good too, thank you.
Welcome to today's Uncovered episode around modelling behaviour, and this is actually the true leadership that we need to focus on, and it's what you do when no one's looking that really matters that you're modelling.
Mm-hmm. So how have you found that to implement that in your life?
Well, look, the big thing that I've noticed and working with lots of people over the years is that most people put on a show, right? And especially leaders. So I've spent a lot of time watching and seeing how leaders present themselves, and they get on stage and then they're completely different types of people off stage. So they're putting on a show, right? Yeah. And modelling behaviour is very, very different from an academy perspective. What we're talking about here is that you are providing the way in which you want to become who you are all the time. So you don't just put yourself on a show for everybody to see. So when I was a healer, I'd have a lot of coaches come and see me and people who were in really big positions in jobs, and there was something very, very similar about what I was experiencing with them. They were highly stressed. They were completely gassed out, exhausted, burnt out, and there was a major reason. They had to put on a show. And it takes a lot of pressure to put on a big show.
It takes a lot of energy out of you as well.
Yeah. So this is one of the hardest things to deal with, is martyrism. So you give people some advice that you're not taking. Have you done that?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And I have too.
Yeah.
So every time I think about modelling behaviour in the academy, every time I voice something, I know I have to stand for that something.
Yeah, that's why you do things that you tell people, right? You're like, oh, you need to, eat healthier. So you're like, all right, I'm going to cut this out.
Yeah, because, so I make a sacrifice. So I say, okay, you need to eat healthier. This is what you can drop. And then I watch people feeling more guilty because they're watching me do it. And one thing I know, like as an example for type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, and this is something that I'm not asking you to do if you've got type 2 diabetes, by the way. There's a lady in the academy who has type 2 diabetes, and I started fasting. Because I know research shows that doing a little bit of fasting drops your blood sugar levels down to allow you to start regulating the way in which you do your blood sugar. It works. You just got to know how to do it well. And then I started fasting, and she said, I've just been doing a little bit of fasting and it's really good for me. So she started trying it and it started really working for her. So I knew that if I didn't make some changes to help her, then she wasn't going to actually listen to me.
Yeah.
So this is what's really important around leadership, that if you want to be trusted, follow through. Right? Don't just bark orders without actually supplying the way in which it's meant to be done.
And are you actually living that life behind the covers as well,
That's right.
Because you actually definitely are. because like I know you outside of work, like you're the same dude. And
you get to experience me, don't you?
Yeah.
So you've seen me at home, you've seen me in different situations, you've seen me at work behind the scenes of all the things that I show, because I'm doing a lot of video, showing a lot of myself in the academy, and people see a lot of me, and there's no difference between where I am on camera and where I am with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, it just makes it easier as well to relate to someone. I find you're not just like, oh, I'm this picture perfect guy, but like behind the covers, which I don't show anyone, I'm a wreck or something. Like if you're having a bad day, you talk to us about it as well.
Yeah.
And not just like to one person, but like in a group setting as well. You're like, oh, I'm having quite a tough day today. So it's like so transparent, and then it doesn't feel like you have this separation between the leader and the members in the academy, but it's more like we're all just a community.
That's right. It makes you a normal person, right? And that's what true leadership is all about. I get, like, I do stand out, right? There's a rule for leadership. You stand out.
Yeah.
What makes me stand out, in my opinion, is the fact that I am able to meet everybody in the same place and not feel that I am differentiated, right? Because I do lead the academy, and people see the absolute magic. I've had people say, I can't do what you do.
Yeah.
Right? I get that. What I do, though, is I give people the way and show them the way how to get there. And maybe people won't get to the magic that I provide, but when I look at people, I try to model the behaviour of the people who are actually doing things that I can't do. Right? There's modelling behaviour, which is awesome. If you've got a weak point, find someone that has a strength and think, what would they do? That's really important.
Yeah, I remember you telling us that, like, if you need a certain thing, like, think of the person. And so many times I was thinking, oh, I really need, like, a bit of courage, or, I'm really scared of this. And then I was thinking of, like, what would you do, or what would Anya do in this situation?
More Anya than me.
So, and, like, especially if you need, like, a lot of strength and power to just, like, bring your point across, I'm like, okay, let's do an Anya here. So
that's right. And I think this is where it all comes down to, is if you're able to model the behaviour that a true leader is meant to do, then it comes down to a few things. You've got to be thinking, well, how can I sleep at night knowing that I've done a great job modelling the behaviour that the world needs to see me as? Yeah. I'm a dad, right? I'm a business owner. I'm a leader of academy. I'm a husband. I'm a friend. I'm a dad to so many people in the academy. People put me in that position. I've had 4 people last year, separate people last year, say, you're the closest that I'll ever get to a Jesus type. And when I got told that 4 times by 4 separate people, I was just like, oh my God, I have to step up. So I was like, you have no idea how dysfunctional I feel about myself, and someone's looking at me like someone said to me this year, people look at you like a deity because of the way that you can explain and share and divulge information. And for me personally, listeners, I think of myself as Jason, who's a little bit disorganised, who struggles to remember things, can't find my keys. You have figured out that every time I can't find my phone, it's usually behind my laptop, stored safely away. And you have a bit of a chuckle because you see my deficiencies, don't you?
Yeah, but that only makes you human. Like, I remember, like, first seeing certain things, and I was just like, he's human, he's not perfect either. That's great.
Yeah.
You know, because so often we look at you as like this wise wizard, which you are, but like, you know, it doesn't mean that you don't have any flaws or any like, you know, weaker points, and I guess that's what makes us human.
Yeah, and imagine how stupid I would feel, right? I'm so good at psychoanalyzing and understanding the human nature of people, and really good at understanding what's going to happen in the future. Can't find my keys. Right, I walk, you see me, it's like, oh, my keys are gone. Oh, they're right. Oh, they're in my hand. Sorry, they're in my hand right now. You know, and that's deficiency. We all have deficiencies, and if we don't show our inadequacies in the world as well, we are not modelling behaviour. Right? We're hiding behaviours.
Yeah.
Right? So listeners, this is really, really important for you to understand. Stop hiding the things that you're shameful about. If you're shameful about those things, work and get some help to change them. I used to watch porn. I don't anymore. I don't care whether other people do. That's not important. So listeners, if you like porn and you enjoy it, fantastic. I made a decision to make sure that I stood integrity for our academy, to make sure I wouldn't have any things that I would be ashamed of doing. And so and this is the tip around this, if you can't do something without everyone watching, then you probably should let that thing go. So for me, if I sat down and watched porn and everyone was watching me watch porn and I was okay with that, then that's okay for me to do. Does that make sense?
That's a really interesting point.
Well, it's modelling behaviour. It's like, I knew if I can't have a group of people watch me doing what I'm doing, there's only one thing: masturbation. I'm okay to keep masturbating, right? That's a different story. You know, and I'm okay to say that I do, but I'm not going to model it to anybody. No, I'm not here for the X-rated videos. But, you know, this is this really deep understanding around what we've got to learn to be able to do in the world. Right? I'm not going to go run around naked around the place and model behaviour because I'm not a nudist.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to model behaviour based on my own integrity values and what really matters. And this is what's really important, listeners. So if you're in a place where you want to model the behaviour that's right for you, you've got to look at the integrity of what that represents and feel comfortable to be able to show and share who you are, what you are, and why you are. And that's what a true leader is meant to do.
And stand for your own values.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, if you're like a health coach or something and you're doing all these unhealthy things, then that's not integral, right?
No.
Yeah.
I remember chatting to a lady, and she said to me, I had a whole bunch of people coming and saying, hey, so-and-so's an alcoholic. She's a very strong health freak. And they went out with her and realised that she was just downing litres of wine. And people started saying, you've got to talk to this person, she's got problems. And then she had a problem with me. And you know what I said? I said, no techniques work. Not one technique works. I called out my stuff, sacred geometry and all the symbols that we use in the academy. I called out naturopathy, I called out everything. Nothing works. With one caveat. Nothing works unless you put the work in. And that's what modelling behaviour is all about. None of my techniques works, guys. Don't come and expect them to work unless you put the work in. That's live. Right? She got shitty, wanted to talk to me about it. And all I heard was, this person's an alcoholic. I called her on it. She said, oh, well, made this big fluffy excuse, well, I don't believe that it's going to do any damage, so it's okay for me to do it. And I was just like, modelling behaviour as a leader. Health. You know, if you're a person who's a health coach, you've got to be so focused on health to get it right. Now, our academy is called the Wellness Breakthrough Academy for a reason. It's not for anything. It's wellness in every single level that you could imagine wellness to be in. So as a leader of that, I've got to look at every one of my facets and figure out how to be a better friend, how to do family better, how to do my relationship better, how to do money better, how to do my purpose better, and how to do my health better.
And what are some of the things that you usually do to like improve these areas? Is it like, you know, do you use specific like apart from just using the specific techniques in the academy, is it like more kind of just becoming aware, or is there certain things that you kind of go through to like improve yourself in each area?
Well, there's one simple thing that I do. I think of you.
Of me?
I think of my kids. I think of my wife. I think of all the people that are around me, and I think, well, I need to do this and stand for the right way of approaching. Because one thing I've learned in life is that quite often when we focus on our internal world, we don't step over the line because we've got too many inadequacies. So from a leadership perspective, humanitarian leadership, which is what I'm talking about, is actually to think about the people that matter around you. I want to be the best boss I can be for you. So when you were unhappy with some of the things that I was doing, I had to change them. But I didn't know that I was doing the wrong thing. You just mentioned I could feel I'd upset you, right? So I knew I needed to sharpen up my axe and give myself a chop on the hand and take a few fingers off and regrow them, right? Because I wasn't doing the right thing by you, right? So if I want to be a better leader and a boss, I have to actually ask you, how am I doing? Am I doing okay? And what am I doing wrong? Do you see how modelling behaviour is all about? People don't get leadership right.
It's more like I'm the leader and I give you feedback on what you do, but actually as the leader you should be the one getting feedback from everyone too, right?
It's more important.
It's actually such a good point, and I think like most people wouldn't do that.
No.
Most people wouldn't.
The academy is built on me working for you guys. You guys are my leaders. And I think, how can I be better for you? How can I improve every single day for you? How can I improve every single day for the academy and who works for the academy? Because I'm leading it, and I'm leading it based on what you need.
Yeah. It's not like this is the way it has to be, but it's got this more flexibility in it.
It is, because there's a thing called AKA Stupidity 101, where you think you know everything. When there's people in the academy who know things, can see me in a certain light, can tell me where I'm off and where I'm not, and I can improve. But if I think that I have it all and I'm here to lead you guys to be able to drink water when in the oasis where I'm going to lead you from the desert, then I am an idiot. Right? This is what leadership has done fault. Because, look, it's not the fault of leadership, it's not being taught. Right? It's not being taught to actually get the resources from the magic of the people around you to find out how you're meant to lead based on what they need. So imagine creating a course. I'm going to create this course because you all need it. No one buys it because you've decided what the content is. You haven't gone and reached out to people to find out what they need. So I'm lucky, I have a bunch of people in the academy and I've got a dynamic to know, okay, this is what you guys need because you're showing me all the things that our academy is not providing you that we need to provide. So we start lifting our game, start providing different resources, start putting things together so then people start going, okay, this is what I need. So feedback
is so good.
Is essential. Right? And if we've got good feedback mechanisms as leaders, the worst thing that we can do, and I've experienced this being a pleb as one of the plebs trying to talk to the leaders, and they getting dismissed is one of the most common things that happens.
Yeah.
Right? And I can dismiss people's information because they're projecting on me. That some of the information that I've shared, that I've gotten, I've just go, yeah, I can change that, I'll do that, I'll do this, and I'll do that. Right? And it's really, really important. Like, we've got to learn how to do this. I was chatting to someone just last week about how she thought, she said to me, you know, you talk about other people and say they're wrong, and I say, no, I give examples to show how things shouldn't be done. And I give examples outside of the academy. And her impression was only the academy is integral. Why am I giving these examples? And she said, you're doing this to actually show the academy values. And I said, no. Every single thing that I'm doing to actually stand for integrity is to get each individual to think how they behave. Right? And she was just like, oh, she had absolutely no clue why I was doing it. She was thinking I was propping up the academy values. I was actually propping up the values of every individual, that they need to think about how they behave in the world, not the academy at all, right? Because modelling behaviour is actually nothing to do with the academy. It's to do with how you display yourself when you are going to the toilet in the public restroom, and there's no toilet paper, but there's a toilet paper roll on there. What do you decide to do? Do you decide to leave it and leave the toilet paper roll there, or do you put the new roll on? What do you decide to do? Because if you don't do that in a public place, what sort of person are you? As a leader. So a lot of people, a lot of leaders, and I see this with a lot of people in leadership roles, they look at people and go, well, you're not worth my time. Because you're not at the level that I should listen to.
But everyone is, right? And everyone's got their own magic and expertise in certain areas as well.
Yeah.
So yesterday we had the business course, and we had someone talk about shares and investing, which is she's an expert in that area. So you weren't like, oh, I'm going to talk about that now. You're like, okay, well, let's get her in and let her talk about that.
That's right, and that's what true modelling behaviour is about. Is you're looking at the people who have the expertise. You want to get their magic out, and you want to champion them. Right? A leader does not put their tribe down. And how do you feel about, when you see me, I share so many people's work in the academy on my Facebook page. Here's this person, they're awesome. I do that all the time.
Oh yeah, you do.
Right?
You really
and
do.
The reason why is because I want people to actually win. And a lot of leaders make it about themselves. And I feel... I don't know whether there's something wrong with me. Can you tell me if there's something wrong with this, and maybe there's a problem with me, is that I feel a little bit let down in myself if someone says, you changed my life completely. I don't feel good about that. And the reason why I don't feel good about that is because I'm seeing the fact that they're not seeing that they've changed their life because they took a chance on themselves. Right? So I know sometimes this could be because of my low want to take feedback on. And the other part is I want them to celebrate themselves more about what they've broken through rather than celebrate me.
Yep.
I guess the reason why I have this, listeners, is because I've watched so many people hear good feedback and they get this head up their ass syndrome where the sun only shines out of their own rear end. I'm very, very scared of that. So I think what I do is I dismiss a little bit too much sometimes. I've had a lot of people call me out on this, dismissing feedback too much, because I know I want people to actually celebrate. And the ones that do it balanced with me, thank you so much. I feel so good with the choices that I've made. If I didn't join the academy, nothing would be like this anymore. Do you see the different language?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's not like, it's more like, I did this and the academy supported me in this way, rather than saying like, you changed my whole life, yeah. And I understand, like, when you first said it, I was like, oh, I don't know why you would, feel bad about someone saying this, but then when you explained it, it just made sense. Yeah. Because everyone's like got this own power in them to, and everyone's like responsible for their life.
100%. And my job and our job in the academy is to help draw that power out, not to be responsible for it. So when someone says the former, I feel bad because I'm like, oh God, what have I haven't taught them right. They haven't learnt the academy work so much. Then when their language is split, like I said, the latter, I'm like, they've gotten what we're sharing. It's a reciprocity-based learning. So, I provide absolute magic that a lot of people have said, you're never going to get that anywhere in the world other than what you've experienced with me. But really, is that the truth? Maybe they've just experienced something magical with me. There's always I'm very pragmatic and just understand that there's always going to be people who are going to completely blow people apart and change their lives. So it's just knowing how to make sure that when you get feedback, you're modelling the behaviour that's correct at the time. So sometimes I boot people in the arse, sometimes I'm really kind, sometimes I know how to deliver information and respond accordingly so people can understand what a true leader is designed to do. If you're just one track in your leadership and you can only lead one way, then there's only going to be one type of person that's actually going to be helped by you. Now, that's great for niching, which is what all business entrepreneurs tell you to do, niche to dentists. But that's not diversifying yourself. Right? So you've got to know how to be able to lead and diversify the way in which you deliver information in a way that's going to be relatable to every person. And this is what a lot of people have said about what I do, is that people feel that I'm talking to them when I deliver language.
Oh, so often. It's like, oh, you're talking about what happened to me today? That's a bit weird. And probably like 5 people in the room feel that way about this one sentence, like, oh God, I do that.
And that's how a good leader is meant to be. So modelling behaviour is a hard thing to do. It's not easy because you have to do one of the most important things that we're meant to do around this is sacrifice behaviours. Right? You have to drop things, and people don't like dropping things.
Nah, but you explained that really nicely the other day, and rather than looking at the loss when you sacrifice, look at what you'll gain on the other side.
100%.
So, rather than like, oh, I'm giving, I'm going to lose, I don't know, McDonald's, but rather than thinking like that, and I'm going to miss it a lot, rather than thinking like that, it would be like I'm going to gain more health and like healthier food choices in my life and more nutritious foods that actually nourish my body. That's right.
And so that's what we've got to learn to be able to do. If we know the gains, there's no brainer. And that's what modelling behaviour is all about. You've seen me super, super, super healthy, and then you see me a bit naughty sometimes. And there are times where we all go off track, but I don't actually hide that I'm off track. I'm like, okay, I'm off track. And I stopped exercising for about 7-8 months this year, and I knew I needed to get back on the horse again. I'm back on the horse again, feel so much better for it. I could have just slowly eroded myself, and the first name of our business name I'm not living for. Right? Today's my exercise day, and I don't do over exercise, listeners. I do twice a week, and I walk, but two really concentrated forms of exercise is enough for me to create balance, so I don't get addicted to the endorphin kick of the exercise,
which can easily happen. It's just my choice. I'm not saying that whatever you choose to do, I just want to make sure that everything that I model and change and the way that I approach is in a very balanced way. And we need to learn how to do this. It's a journey. So no one really teaches us how to model the right behaviour that is unique to us. Right? We're all unique in the way that our behaviour needs to be. So if you're empathic and you're a big feeler and someone's telling you to be more mental,
How are you going to be able to model a mental person's behaviour? Or let's say you're really abstract and someone's really detailed, and someone's trying to teach you how to be more detailed, and you're not a detailed person. You're going to feel like the biggest dickhead and so unable, right? So you got to model behaviour based on your genius.
And that's where teams come in too, you know, and getting help from others.
That's right. And so that's the modelling behaviour that we do as a leader, is that the leader's design role is to actually see the beauty and the magic in all the people around them, and then to model that ability to share and expose the greatness of others. And what that in turn does, listeners, it gives you a sense is it turns back on you, because you're highlighting someone's greatness, and that makes an understanding of the care and the love that you supply the people, rather than look at what I did for you, right? Look, and you couldn't have done this without me, right? I'd rather let's do it all together and learn how to model the right forms of behaviour. Imagine if every single person modelled all behaviours that were correct and there was no shame inside. Because that's what, when we're not modelling behaviour, shame is the result. That's the emotion that we feel, because we're hiding and concealing how we think, how we feel, and shame is the hider that grabs everything and makes sure no one touches it. Right? We do have a podcast on shame, I think.
Yeah, we do.
So this is really, really important to understand, is that if we all did this, what do you think the world would be like?
Oh, quite different, wouldn't it?
Yeah. People wouldn't be fighting. We'd be accepting, modelling behaviour as a leader. We'd be accepting of other people's opinions and how people did things uniquely. And if you were doing it out of integrity, you wouldn't be stealing people's wallets. You wouldn't be raping people. You wouldn't be murdering people, because that's not what we do when we're doing leadership in a modelled way, in a really healthy way, to help us become human-natured, kind human beings to each other.
That's really beautiful. Yeah, so that's the second part of our leadership model after the courage, and I think the courage works really well in that as well, because you need that courage to actually step up your game and be like, I'm going to model something even if nobody else does it. I'm going to model it for them.
That's right, and so that's the courage. And as you pointed out, Filia, so perfectly, is that courage is the foundation, and you need enough courage to model that behaviour to stand out. So unique leaders model behaviour well, right? And if you want a leader that is going to show you how to model the behaviour that you really like to live, and if you want something that's actually humanitarian, kind, caring, you got to make sure you look at the leaders who are leading you now and see, well, are they breathing and living the very thing that you want to breathe and live? And if they're not, I'll be blatantly honest, look for someone else who you can respect. So,
yeah, someone who works for you.
That's right, and the important thing around this is to never look up to someone, to look at someone and see what they're doing.
Beautiful. Right. I love that.
That's a true leader. If you can look at them rather than look up, looking up, you're going to knock them off the pedestal. You'll look at them and see what they're doing.
Wonderful. All right, I think that's a really great way to end this. Look at them, not up to them.
Right, thank you so much, guys, and hopefully you enjoyed this one today.
See you next time.
Thanks so much for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate you, and we really appreciate your time, because time is so valuable. What we'd love you guys to do, if you like this podcast, if you could share it with your friends, and also our website address for the podcast is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademypodcast.com. Our website is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademy.com. We have a free Facebook group called Wellness Leadership Evolution, so search for that. I'd love it if you could add me as a friend on Facebook. I don't buy it, so add me as a friend, and if you want some help
and you would really like some support from us in the Academy, jump in. We have a process. You can do a break-in call to connect in with us. We do small courses. We have lots of things that we share. So we'd love the opportunity to give you a chance to change your life and turn it into a free one. You are one transformation away from change. Come and catch up.